I want to welcome my next special guest who's joining me on the Jersey Central Newsmaker Hotline. There is a big show that is coming up this week to the Bickford Theater in Morristown. They're celebrating the 100th anniversary of the birth of jazz legend Thelonious Monk. And his son is going to be there, the acclaimed drummer, educator, and composer T.S. Monk. He's going to be performing with his sextet. Special vocalist will be April May Webb, who will be joining him. But let's welcome T.S. Monk to Jersey Central this morning. Hey, good morning. It's Bert Barron. How are you?
How you doing, Bert?
Wow, great to talk to you, and we're so excited that you're going to be coming to Morristown coming up later on this month here. When you look at groundbreaking drummers, you, your dad, so many other great names, talk about what it's like to be one of the all-time greats there in jazz drumming.
That is very, very difficult to talk about because I don't really think of myself in those terms. What I can say is that it's a pleasure to be part of the family of jazz musicians that have been, able to make some kind of impression. But greatness, that's something that's reserved for my father, and maybe one day when I'm gone, people will say I was a great drummer, but it's very difficult at this juncture because, as jazz musicians, we practice every day. It's sort of a virtuoso art form, so you've got to be in shape all the time. So most of us, we don't have time to reflect on what we've done. It's a very forward-leaning art form, and it's no different for me. So I still got things to do. I still got things to practice. I was practicing with my sticks on my knee last night. Something that I've been practicing since I was maybe 15 years old. It never stops. It never stops. It's a wonderful, wonderful art form, and it keeps your mind working because not only do you have to stay on top of your game, but there's young musicians coming up behind you every day that have a renewed level of virtuosity that you have to sort of compete with. So it's a funny position to be in jazz, in particular, just because the competition is so in your face, and it's always moving forward.
Yeah, and you've inspired, of course, a generation of drummers with this particular style, and your dad, of course, before you. But I guess you're right. If you have a pair of sticks and a flat surface, you have a rehearsal space. Then, right? I guess if you look at it that way,
it's the only way to look at it when it comes to jazz. And it's the same if you play a trumpet or a guitar or a saxophone or a piano, any instrument. It is America's classical music, and it requires the same kind of dedication, as classical music. When I was younger and I played R&B music, that required almost a different mentality because things weren't based so much on your versatility. It was far more based on your ability to just deliver a show. But with jazz, you can't fool the jazz audience.
No.
You can't say somebody is great and then they go and see them and they've got all these records of great people at home, so they can easily compare you.
Yeah.
So that keeps you. It really, really keeps you on your toes. It's really, really great.
Yeah, I tell people that. I tell people, well, first of all, rock and roll is imported. I mean, and rock and roll got its roots from American blues and jazz, and so it kind of goes full circle. But jazz, the great improvisational stuff that you and your dad before you, that's American made. That is American music at its best, right there.
Not only is it American-made, but jazz is really the creative cauldron from which all the other genres draw constantly when they sort of get mired down.
Yeah.
Because trends and different, whatever is popular this week may not necessarily be popular next week. So it's very different. But with jazz, it's timeless. And you can look at everything from the sound of the guitar today in both jazz and rock and roll, which is something that came from jazz. The electric piano came from jazz. Even the open and close hi-hat that we got from disco, that funny sound, that's Art Blakey, so that's from jazz. And it's a good thing because America needs various cauldrons of creativity for various disciplines and that kind of thing. So I appreciate that too, because every once in a while you turn around and all of a sudden something pops up in popular music.
Yep.
That you didn't expect, and then you say, "Oh, well, that goes back to Duke Ellington, or that goes back to Louis Armstrong." And sometimes it's difficult for the general public to see the connection, but we as artists always see the connection.
Oh, it's there. It's always there. That's for sure. T.S. Monk is our guest this morning on Jersey Central, son of the legendary Thelonious Monk, and he's going to be appearing with his sextet this coming Thursday at the Bickford Theater in Morristown. Talk about what we can expect on Thursday night. Talk about some of the pieces there.
Oh, well, I have a sextet, which is relatively rare in jazz. Today, most jazz artists perform in a smaller ensemble. I have sort of a classic ensemble in the spirit of the great Art Blakey or Max Roach, or Buddy Rich, the great drummers. We all tend to like a big sound. We all like like the sound of horns and that kind of thing. So I'll be coming with my sextet. We'll be playing some Monk. We'll be playing some of my father's material, some of my material, maybe a few things sprinkled in between just to keep everybody on their toes. And it should be a lot of fun. I'm a lot of fun. I will say that.
All right, and just
I'm not the typical guy. I'm not going to come out and not smile at the audience and talk to the audience. I feel the relationship with the audience is the most important relationship that takes place in any performance, and I'm very into that. So I would expect that people will have a very, very good time. I have a young vocalist, April May Webb, that's performing with us. She's a gorgeous girl, and she's a wonderful singer. She's going to sing a couple of Monk tunes for everyone, and I think I'm old school in that I truly believe that singers and instrumentalists really, really work well together. If you go back to, Count Basie with Frank Sinatra or Ella Fitzgerald, or you move forward to Cannonball Adderley with Nancy Wilson, or even further forward to Norman Connors with Phyllis Hyman, it's always been a very, very good mix for people, because people love vocals. They love instrumental music, but they really love it when it's complemented with vocals. And so I like to bring that to the audience as often as I can. And that's what we're going to do. We're going to have a real, real good time. I'll tell your listeners that don't believe that jazz is as serious as people say it is, but it ain't that serious. There are many, many serious things going on in the world every day. Jazz is not necessarily one of them, so this is about fun.
Yeah.
And I'm about fun, and my man is about fun, my band is about fun, music is about fun, and I expect, people to come to my concert and leave saying, "Wow, I had a good time."
Yep, that's great.
To simply saying, "Oh, I heard something that was very, very nice." No, I want you to have a good time. So that's what people should expect, and that's what I expect to deliver. And we should have a very, very good time. And for me, it's always fun because, I'm a New York boy, but I've been in New Jersey for 25 years now.
Nice.
So I'm a Jersey boy too.
Cool.
And so this is for me. I come from South Orange, so this is Morristown. This is like a hometown gig for me, and I love that because I don't get an opportunity. I mean, I might perform at NJ Tack or at Dizzy's in New York, but generally I'm moving around the world and around the country. So anytime I get an opportunity to play near my hometown or with folks that are generally from my home area, that's always a pleasure for me, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's great. MorrisMuseum.org for tickets for the show that is coming up on Thursday night. Don't miss that. A special tribute show to the great Thelonious Monk, starring his son, the drummer, educator, and composer T.S. Monk, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Was it Buddy Rich who said that drummers who don't develop talent go on to start rock bands? Was it him who said that one? One of those drummers said that, right?
Buddy knew how to put words together. He's like Yogi Berra of jazz.
And the rest go on to become the greats of the world of jazz, much like yourself. So thanks for the time today. Have a great gig on Thursday, and it was really an honor to speak with you today. And here's to many more years of great music, all right?
Thank you, Bert. You have a good morning.
All right, you as well. Thank you.